Hello everybody and welcome to the latest episode of the Viking Chats podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by Heather Foster-Wren. Heather.
Hello.
Darling. Hello.
Hi.
I like the way we're making this sound like we've literally just sat down together. We've just talked our asses off for well over an hour over some bougie Shoreditch breakfast. So that's the benefit you get if you turn up ridiculously early for a podcast booking.
I like to be on time.
I mean, but what time did you say you were up this morning?
I was up at 5 o'clock this morning.
See,
on
damn,
the train for 25 past 6.
See, that's
5 trains later.
That's 5.
Luckily, it's only 3 on the way
Love
home.
you.
Love you more.
Clearly, because fucking hell. If you'd asked me to get on a train at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'd be like, babes, I like you, but... So, look, for those who are tuning in and have not yet had the joy and privilege of getting to know you properly, tell us a little about you. So tell us a little bit about where you find yourself now in your role, and then how you kind of came to be where you are, your property journey.
Yes.
Let's
So,
hear all about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work for Relocation Agent Network. I am one of the regional directors, if that's what you want to call me. Looking after I look after quite a big area. I'd like to say that I look after the north of the country, but I do still come into London and do a bit of East Anglia, as well as the Midlands, and then anything up from there.
A bit of London, a bit of East Anglia, a bit of Midlands, and the north.
Yeah.
It's politely kind of saying like you're responsible for about 80% of the UK, isn't it?
So I don't want to take that away from Adam though, because Adam also covers a huge part of the south of the country. But yeah, I cover Greater London, East Anglia, Essex, Midlands, East Midlands, Cheshire, North Wales, North East, North West Scotland.
I mean, stop part-timing it and fucking double down and make some commitment with you, Anne. I mean, like,
I don't need a bigger area.
You stop fanning around,
Yeah,
please.
I don't need a bigger area.
So for those out there that aren't familiar with RAN, what's RAN?
So Relocation Agent Network is essentially a national network of independently owned estate agents that are helping their clients and customers relocate all over the UK. Essentially what we do is we try and identify the best agent in any given area. We invite them to be part of the network, and they're able to then exclusively send leads to other agents that are reputable across the country if they've got somebody that's looking at selling their property.
It's effectively kind of like the referral network that corporates benefit from, right? The fact of having 400 or 500 offices up and down the country.
Yeah.
You can filter leads within the business, but as independents like us, we don't, we get a client that wants to buy in Birmingham or has a property to sell in Birmingham.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
So it gives you a way of being able to monetize by helping your customers. The average fee that agents are earning currently is about £1,020 per transaction. So it's not a small sum that they're missing out on, but also, in my opinion, because you're recommending reputable estate agents that know what they're doing, know their local markets, are essentially the relocation experts within their own area, they're able to point people in the right direction. They're able to give them the best advice. They're more likely to give an accurate valuation on the property, more likely to get the property sold. And then if you are then involved in a chain, at least you're not having a less reputable agent involved in the chain, which is going to make those transaction times even longer than what they already are.
Now, RAN's not new, is it? It's been around for a while.
So RAN was originally known as Home Sale Network. It was created back in 1994 when we were owned by the world's largest relocation company, currently known as Cartus, but was originally PHH Relocation.
Yeah.
Did a stint as Stendham Mobility, and they were relocating.
I did wonder where the relocation kind of mantra slotted into it, because I've only ever known it as an agency referral thing, and I always...
Yeah, so it was owned by the world's largest relocation. It was owned by Cartus. They relocated, or they did corporate relocations worldwide, still do. And at one point they were probably relocating over 178,000 people worldwide every year. So they were involved in some of the really big relocations. Yeah. So as an example, back in 2007, 2008, they had the MOD contract. They also did the big AstraZeneca move when they moved from Loughborough to Alderley Edge back down to Cambridge, and they were probably relocating hundreds of people at that one time. I know that the RAM member at one time, they had 142 instructions just off the back of that relocation. And that was quite a nice amount of money.
If you're earning £1,020
yeah,
a pop,
absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why the network was originally created. So back in the early 90s, going through that recession, which thankfully you and I are probably too young to fully remember.
Look at our faces, of course we are.
I was still at school, so I'm definitely too young to still remember it. But
What year were you born?
82.
82.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 79.
There you go. So we're not too far away
Not
from
far
it.
apart.
We're not too far away. But there was that really horrible recession back in the 90s. In the 80s, a load of independents had sold out to the corporates. Then in the 90s, the recession happened. They all bought their businesses back.
Yeah.
And for corporate relocations, they were becoming ever increasingly frustrated with corporates because of the additional services that they were trying to throw on people.
Yeah.
An independent agent, your bread and butter is selling and renting houses.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you're not doing your job properly.
Getting a mortgage or selling buyer insurance or whatever, it's a little bonus, but it's not what keeps the doors open.
It's not what keeps the door open. It just helps keep things ticking. So that's why they made the decision that they wanted to find the best agent in any given town.
Interesting.
And they would then assist with those corporate relocations, which then led to, once there was a network in place, well, actually, you can all help each other now.
Yeah.
And then we were talking earlier, estate agents historically won't talk to the agent that's 5 minutes down the road. And if you do, everything is hunky-dory and you don't talk about the real world of what actually happens in agency. So to be able to bring those agents together where you're in a non-competitive environment, you're able to talk about what's happening and learn from each other and be able to evolve together and help each other progress. That's where those regional meetings really started to come into it. And I think Home Sale Network was probably the founders of those steering groups that are there. And even now, you know, we're still trying to push the boundaries in creating those groups to be far more educational. We're getting industry trainers involved. You know, we've got the likes of Simon Gates, Claire Yates, Stephen Brown, David Mintz.
Never heard of any of them.
Never heard of any of them. But they've been brilliant. You know, they've gone down like an absolute storm at the last regional meetings that we did. And now, not just doing it from a leadership point of view, getting the negs in, getting the future of estate agency.
I think for suppliers, like, it's really interesting. I was talking with someone yesterday about this. I think suppliers increasingly, that role of training, educating at all levels is increasingly becoming part of it. And you look at businesses like Fixflow, you know, who have really built their businesses around a content strategy. And Good Lord, I think to a certain extent saw that and have done a very similar thing in their wheelhouse, you know, and those two businesses have built a huge following, I think largely because of the amount of content and information and educational output that they put out to their clients and just generally as a business. It's
we say to the suppliers that come, so we have suppliers that will come to the regional meeting, and of course they're there to be able to sell their products and services and whatnot, but we always ask them to come in with knowledge. Where are the problems, where are the pain points in estate agency, and that's how you can help solve them, rather than do a 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on this is who we are, this is what we do.
But look, I think if your product does genuinely help agents, right, you shouldn't have to sell in a room, right? If your product genuinely solves a problem, genuinely helps in whatever that help is framed as, just sharing what you deliver, you know, and how agents have already leveraged that to their benefit. And how you can do the same. You shouldn't have to sell a product, right?
No.
You know, at the end of the day, you show someone what it does. Like, if it benefits the business, any half-decent business owner or team leader would be like, I want that in my business.
Absolutely.
You know, and it might not be tomorrow, it might be 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, but I like the look of that, I want that in my business. And I think...
Yeah, and ultimately, if you are a supplier, you're the expert of what it is that you do. So to be able to demonstrate or to impart your knowledge on other people and get them thinking about things that they can do within their business that could, you know, might not be a problem for them currently, but it's still going to help them go that one step further within their own business and be better at what they're doing. That's still giving them thought and something to think about after the meeting, and they're more likely to make that.
And I think also there's a lot of inefficiency. There's a lot of things which aren't viewed as problems because they're not causing a problem. But there's a lot of inefficiency, a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of button clicking and form filling, which serves no purpose other than keeping someone busy to do something.
Yeah.
And until you've got a supplier who's like, dude, do you realise you are spending this amount of resource on this, and if you implement this over the next 3 to 6 months, then the next 3 to 6 months could potentially look like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the good things with RAN as well is from the regional meetings and the suppliers that we're working with is so Relocation Agent Network is now owned by the illustrious Simon Whale.
Sorry, who? Who are all these people? I've never heard of any of them. See the shy retiring chap that's like a hermit, doesn't go to any events.
Wears really dull colours.
Yeah, I've heard he's a teetotal kind of clean living kind of wellness guru.
You're on the right tracks there. Yeah, you've got the healthiest liver in the industry.
Shut up, liver.
You're fine. Yes, so he obviously owns Kerfuffle as well. So we go
because so Whaley acquired RAN. How long ago was that? Like
2023.
Oh, okay, so three years ago. I was going to guess 2 years ago. So 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2023.
Well, he's building quite a nice little kind of gathering of quite sort of you can see the balance between them, like with RAN and View Agents and Kerfuffle, and it all comes back into that thing of kind of helping agents help themselves, right?
Absolutely, and it's building that sort of ecosystem for them. If you're with Kerfuffle, that is essentially the go compare for PropTech or for any sort of service that feeds the estate agency industry.
And again, coming back to selling, if you're sick and tired of a supplier walking in, giving you some flashy demo and telling you some questionable stats, if you're tired of listening to that, why wouldn't you want to see what 10, 15, 20, 50 agents actually have to say about it?
Absolutely. And then on the flip side with Kerfuffle is you can talk to the guys over at Kerfuffle and say, I'm looking for this solution.
Yeah.
This is what I need it to do. This is how it needs to work. This is how it will potentially fit into my business. And they're able to create the shortlist rather than you having to sit on 15 demos talking about the same thing where it's going to solve all of their problems.
There is so much out there now. I mean, I think most people know I love a bit of tech.
As does Whaley.
As does Whaley. I'm not quite as magpie klepto as Whaley, but I love a bit of tech. Fascinated by the ongoing kind of evolution of tech, and I think particularly now since AI, like everything is happening so fast. And there are so many offerings now. It's overwhelming. Like even for someone who I feel like I understand this space pretty well, working in it and buying from it, I still sometimes sit there and I'm like,
yeah, and it's evolving at a rate of knots as well.
Yeah, and faster than ever. Yeah. And also, the replication as well. I mean, Jesus Christ, I think most agents will probably be the same. Like, I reckon in the last year, I have probably had, I would say, at least 300 AI products pitched at me, all about capturing leads.
Yep.
Capturing leads and working them and reworking your CRM database, because it seems to be like the easiest thing to train AI to do. Yep. So everyone with a laptop and a Perplexity account have built themselves an app to do it. And it is overwhelming to have people who people like Mincy who've actually been at the coalface. Obviously, Whaley is always very open about the fact he's never been an agent, but my God, he's sold to agents for long enough, he might as well be. So, look, we talked a lot about the businesses. We haven't talked about you. So, what was the journey to being at RAN? I mean, we were talking earlier, you moved to South Africa when you were...
Yeah, so my parents emigrated to South Africa after they got married. They thought they'd go over for an adventure.
But you were already born, right?
No.
You were born out there?
No, I was born in South Africa.
Okay, you were born out there.
Yeah, so they got married, moved over to South Africa as a bit of an adventure, ended up having 3 of the 4 of us born over in South Africa, and we moved back when I was about 2.
And that's your sister, your brother, and you.
Yeah, so I've got an older sister, older brother, and then me, and then I've got a younger sister who's our English baby.
Yeah.
She's Jenny Wren. So we came back to the UK, came back to the Midlands. So my mum and dad
And
are
how old
both,
were you then?
about two coming
Oh,
up
okay,
3.
right.
Yeah, so I don't.
You don't really remember South
I don't
Africa.
have many memories of South Africa. I did go back in 2004 when I got off the plane. I recognised the smell. I recognised foods in the supermarket. I could understand some of the lingo on the radio. It's a bit of Africa.
Oh, that's
I mean, I can say for
interesting.
coffee in Afrikaans quite easily.
Yeah.
But actually listening to the radio, Jacaranda radio station, they would do in between the segments speaking in Afrikaans, and I was like, how do I know what they're saying?
Yeah.
But I can't speak Afrikaans at all, other than to tell you where to go.
I mean, what else do you need in any foreign languages?
It's every common thing.
You know,
it's a common trait
as we
in
all
any
know as
language.
kids at school,
Absolutely.
when you're learning a foreign language,
Yeah.
the first words you learn are how to tell someone to.
Yeah, exactly. So so we came back to the UK. I naturally fell into estate agency as a lot of people
not at 4 years old.
Not at 4 years old. But, you know...
But you were hyper independent, right? So
yeah, absolutely. So I left home when I was 16.
At 16.
Yeah,
like
I
properly left home, not went and got a job.
No, properly left home.
Left home and got a job.
So I decided that I left home just before I started my GCSEs. It was literally the night before my GCSEs started.
I mean, why not? Why didn't you wait till your exams were done?
Why wait? Got into college. I did quite well in my exams, albeit even though I'd left home. Went to college, was working 3 jobs while trying to do college. At some point, something had to give. So I ended up not being able to finish college, which is a disappointment, but at the same time, no regrets. Life happens.
And looking back, it doesn't really hold you back, right?
Absolutely.
I think education is an interesting one. I think like most people, I'm a big fan of education, but it only carries you so far. I'm very well educated in the University of Life. Yes. And look, I think unless you want to be a rocket scientist or, there are obviously jobs that require a highly technical education, but for a lot of other jobs, right, it's and I think learning how to get on and pick yourself up and knuckle down and... Yeah, and one thing that I pride myself on is I probably have quite a lot of common sense. And the funny thing with common sense is it's not very common. Whaley. Yeah, I work for Whaley. Wow. Forgive me for my sins. Sorry, big boy. Gonna help give you a little dig there. So I ended up leaving college and going to work for an estate agency. I knew somebody that worked for an estate agent. They said, hey, we've got a job going, come and went in on sales? Yeah, so I went in on sales. It was one of the very first Bears to Eaves franchises that were opened. So even though it was Bears to Eaves, it wasn't as corporate as Bears to Eaves. Because it was early days. And went into that and I did really well. I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed showing people houses, helping people find their dream homes and negotiating the sale, and I ended up being quite good at it. I think with most people in agency, it seems to be a really common story. They didn't necessarily find the role that was right for them yet, but I think, most people you talk to, it was that fairly instant, like, do you know what, I quite like this. I'm quite good at this. Yeah. I remember when I started up in Islington, like literally it was boots on ground, like doing deals in the first week, like, this is fun. I think if you've got a gift of being able to talk to people, then you're going to be quite successful. So you and I had to really struggle and fight against our norm, really drag ourselves out of our shell. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I did. I did that for. I think I was there for about 12, 18 months or so. Then moved to another agency. Yeah. And again, was predominantly on the sales part initially. They also had a lettings arm, and they were awarded. Bear in mind, we were in Bearwood in the Midlands. Yeah. They were awarded the housing contract for Haringey and Enfield Council. Okay. And they essentially had the overspill of where they weren't able to accommodate people from Haringey and Enfield, or they could have been part of domestic abuse, things like that, where they're having to then relocate. Away. So we
I ended up sort of going into that side of it and the letting side of
And
it.
so was that people moving up to your area, being housed in your area?
Yeah, they were being housed in our area.
that must have been...
And it was a bed and breakfast
Because I've only kind of really read about that stuff in the press, but that must have been quite weird, because I'm sure some people were just relieved to be getting a home, but other people must have been like, why the fuck am I being taken away from...
Absolutely, and I think, the complexity of the tenants that we had could be quite complex at the time, and essentially it was almost like a hotel contract. So it's bed and breakfast, so every week we would have to go and deliver their breakfast. Their rent was paid, their bills were paid, everything was paid for.
Right, yeah.
And then they would then claim their benefits and whatnot, and then we then went one step further and we got the asylum seeker contract.
Right.
So we were then housing asylum seekers as well in exactly the same way, but they were then coming in to collect their benefits from the office. So it's all before everything, we're talking early 2000s that this had happened. And that was it was quite an exciting time. It was quite an interesting time, I was
must have been
probably
busy and
21, 22 at the time. It was massively busy. We were housing people at 3 o'clock in the morning at times, because you're waiting for people to arrive, and then you're then having to allocate their houses to them.
Can't leave them just stood on the street.
No, you can't.
Sorry, we're not open till 9 o'clock in the morning.
No, exactly. So that was a really fun time. I had a really fun time working for them. Things evolved within that business, fallouts with the directors, changes within the directors, things like that.
And also, I think working in that must have been like quite interesting to begin with, but must be quite hard as well.
Absolutely.
Dealing with a lot of people and a lot of scary and traumatic situations.
Absolutely. And, generally,
and you kind of take on a bit of that.
Yeah,
trauma.
absolutely.
If you're empathetic, you can't help but not.
Yeah, definitely.
Be impacted by what. The stories they share with you.
Yeah, definitely. And the directors were always sort of looking to evolve themselves as well. So before we knew it, they then got involved with the Palms being built in Dubai.
Right.
And then they wanted to get involved with that. And then there was Spain was quite popular to go and buy over.
Right.
And so I sort of ended up moving over into that side, bit of a PA to the director, helping him with his paperwork and, dealing with all of that. And then the fallouts happened. So it was like, right, I need to get out of that now. It's time to go. The business clearly isn't going to go much further forward than what it has. So I went and worked for another independent estate agent for a little while, but I wasn't really happy.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I'd gone from all of these things happening to a run-of-the-mill estate agent, and it's pretty mundane, no excitement. So I decided that I wanted to look elsewhere, went and had a look went online.
So where are we now? Where's this roughly?
This would have been 2006, 2007. Okay. It would have been 2007. Went and started having a look for other jobs. Went and saw a recruitment company. They put me forward. I'd seen the job advertised with Home Sale Network, and I thought that'd be quite nice. 24 years old, moving out of agency but staying within agency. I know what I'm talking about. I've sold houses, I've rented houses, I've pretty much done all of that. I get the game, and that sounds like quite a good fun challenge, with the bonus of I'm home based.
Yeah.
And that's
which
the job.
Back then was unheard of.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely. And I said to myself, that is the job that I want. The recruitment agency had said to me, well, you probably need to apply for a couple of different others.
And did you have kids by then? Was family? No,
family. I was 24 years old, living my best life, still going out with my mates. Well, I'm not saying that I don't live my best life now, but it was different when you're 24.
A different
no responsibility.
We all remember the 24-year-old best life.
We all remember the 24-year-old best life. So I said to myself, that's the job that I want. I had no idea going into it who Carter. I didn't even know Home Sale Network was owned by Carter's.
Yeah.
The information available on the internet at that time probably was far less than what it is now, very basic. So I had to do quite a lot of digging and quite a lot of research. And I'd then been put forward for a branch manager job at another estate agency and was offered both jobs. The recruitment process for working for Home Sale Network, it wasn't a it wasn't a hello, nice to meet you. You're quite nice. I had to go and do a full presentation. There was a couple of different interviews. It was quite an intense process of talking about the pros and cons of independent and corporate estate agents, and did I fit the bill? And I felt completely out of my depth. I didn't really. I pray to God that I've got it right in terms of the presentation that I had to put together. And Richard Tucker, who was the managing director, love him to death, still in touch with him even now. He has said to me a couple of times it's one of the most standout interviews he'd ever done, because I'd really taken the time to research.
Well, you talking about researching, I mean, it's I'd say that is probably one of my biggest frustrations that we've had over the years with interviewing people is, we've interviewed some fantastic people, but we asked them anything about the business.
And they don't have a clue.
Couldn't tell you anything stand out. They've maybe glanced at the website and it's like, oh yeah, you've won semesters. Like, Jesus Christ, well done. No backstory, no why is, like you said, you knew you wanted that job. Like, the amount of interviews we've done where it's like, why do you want to specifically work here? And you can basically, in their mind, say, like, before they actually start the sentence, well, I don't specifically want to be here. A job in agency, and I think any time, and I don't think that's changed. I think any time when you get someone in front of you who's interested in working with you, for you, however you want to frame it, that has genuinely taken a bit of time and effort to understand your business, to understand where you come from and where you're going and what you stand for, and what your kind of mountain to die on is, so to speak. I think it's night and day in an interview between, and it's not about the skill set of doing the job. We all know that a lot of people can slot into a lot of jobs. I'm not surprised it had that impact, because it is, even to this day, surprisingly rare when we talk to people. Now, part of the reason now, a lot of the hires we do, we come across people.
Yeah.
Like, we very rarely actually now interview. We will meet someone who serves us in a restaurant, or who serves us in a coffee shop, or we meet doing charity work on the street. Those people who stop you and, anytime those people stand out. So we interview less, but you talking about that, I would say that is probably my number one disappointment in an interview, is when it is very, very apparent that this is just an estate agent job. Well,
it's just another job, isn't it?
It's just another job.
We just need to be able to pay our bills.
And I get that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that
too.
But I also think, and it probably segues quite nicely into that sort of next bit, in we spend so much of our time at work that you kind of want to be doing something that you actually enjoy. Give me £1 million tomorrow and I'll see you on the other side. However, I'll be on my bed.
We're all working. Let's be honest.
We're all working to live. We're not living to work. We're all working
exactly.
to live.
And like you said, if £1 million came in tomorrow,
I'm not sure £1 million would get me very far nowadays. But if I happen to win the lottery, I probably wouldn't look back.
10 million, and
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I want to be able to enjoy what it is that I do. And when I found out more and more about the network, and as I sort of started to work with the members that we have, a lot of them are probably friends now as well. Yeah. They're not just colleagues. They're not just people that I pick the phone up to and go, oh God, I've got to do an account management, or God, they're going to moan today. I actually look forward to speaking to them and seeing them.
Have a chat and a catch up.
Because we've genuinely became, I know that I could call upon any one of them for advice, for help, for assistance, and they would go out of their way to be able to help me, because I've taken the time to build the rapport with them.
Because they know the same.
Because they know that I would do the same in return. Yeah, they know that I would do the same in return. Obviously, the last couple of years has been slightly more challenging, and I probably haven't been as present as what I would like to have been.
How dare you?
How dare I?
Selfish twat.
But every single one of my clients have been phenomenal in understanding what that last couple of years has
Because
looked
what
like
you've gone
as well.
through is fucking horrendous, babes. It's, you know.
It's been a train ride.
So let's talk a little bit about the last couple of years. I mean, you've already done a couple of podcasts around it, so I don't think we need to linger on it too much. But for those who've been living under a fucking rock and have missed it, what have you been going through the last couple of years?
In October of 2024, I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 41. Well, it was a couple of days before my 42nd birthday. Invasive ductal carcinoma, which is the specific type, and it was a hormone-driven cancer as well. So the last 18 months I've been undergoing chemotherapy, radiotherapy, hormone treatment, targeted therapy. And yeah, I've kind of been through it.
It was like 25 of each, the chemo.
So I had an initial 7 rounds of chemo, just try and shrink the tumour, surgery to remove the tumour. Chemo is not for the
fucking horrendous, as everyone says.
There are different types of chemo treatment.
Yeah.
The chemo treatments that I had are probably some of the strongest that you can have. So the initial 3 rounds was EC, something I don't even want to try and pronounce it.
Right.
EC for short,
right.
And it's known as Red Devil. And that speaks for itself. It's a red fluid that goes through you. And within 10 days, I started losing my hair. And for the first 4 days after each treatment, not very well at all. Not feeling very, nausea.
Like
and
exhaustion.
I wasn't sick as such, as in physically, but feeling poor.
But as we know, the feeling nauseous is probably worse than actually being sick anyway.
The fatigue was what I struggled with the most. As a mum of 2.5 children, I've got an older stepdaughter from Matt's previous relationship. She's just gone 18. So
but also someone who loved their career, right? Who loved their job and loved...
Absolutely. And I wanted to be able to... I did work all the way through. Granted, I wasn't going out as much as what I would normally, simply for the fact that I had no immune system and I could have potentially have died if I caught anything, but physically not being well enough to be able to. But at the same time, Whaley was incredibly supportive. Do what you can when you can. We're here to support you in whatever way we can. And if you want to work, we'll allow you to work. Obviously, just Whaley a favour if I am working. But at the same time, it was really important for me to maintain that element of normality.
Do you know one thing that's lovely? Slight little side tangent. I was listening to Reagan's podcast on Weir yesterday and this morning. And what is lovely... you know, you say about Whaley and Kerfuffle, and she talks a lot in there about how Paramount supported her, but not only that, how David Asprey supported Steve, her partner. Yeah. It's so nice to hear employers give a shit.
Absolutely. And I think...
And not in a prescriptive way, just like, you know, we're here for you. Whatever the fuck that means, we'll figure it out. Yep. You know, I don't think as Base and Depository we've not had to support anyone directly with that, but you know, we've got stuff going on with family members with the team. We've had a lot of family member incidents within the team, and also people just feeling a little bit lost with where they are and what the direction of career is. And you know, we've supported some people and it ends up that they pivot and they move away. But I think it's so nice to hear companies and employers just recognising the human being in it.
Absolutely, and I think it also makes you feel quite valued as well. You know, it's not... Nobody is indispensable, nobody is irreplaceable. We're all replaceable in one way, shape or form, you know. That goes without saying, but at the same time, to be able to have somebody give you that ability of being able to create that element of normality, being supported, I think you end up getting more out of them.
And for you to be seen, right? For you to genuinely be seen rather than some...
Yeah, absolutely. And
kind
I think,
of complacent...
Yeah, and even if I did work for a corporate company that sort of said, you know, there's 6 months sick pay and whatever, I think if I was still working for Carter's as an example, there was that sort of sickness package in place where you could take, you know, up to 12 months off and still receive a wage. But if you're off sick and you have no involvement whatsoever, you sort of taken off everything. And there is also that sort of view of, well, if you're not able to do your job as described, then you have no choice but to take that time off. Whereas being able to sort of improvise and adapt and be able to make allowances, I think you get better employees as a result
really
of it, who don't take advantage.
I mean, again, the parallels with a lot of what Reagan was saying, like of what she got, but also, you know, coming back and realising and looking back on stuff like that exclusion from work, which is perceived as, oh, don't worry, you don't need to work. Yeah. But like you said, you do get cut out of the business. Yeah. You're like, no, you're not working. So just shut up and get well.
Yeah.
And they think they're doing the best by you, but that exclusion from the business creates other anxieties and issues of self-worth. It's the
isolation and what you're supposed to do. And I think when you're told the word you have cancer, your life in that instant changes.
Yeah.
Everything in your life changes that very instant. And it's never going to be the way that it used to be, because you're having to learn to deal with what you've ended up going through and what you carry with you for the rest of your life. But I personally, for me, I needed to have as much normality in my life as I could to give normality for my kids.
Yeah.
They really needed, you know, Poppy was 6 at the time. George would have been 8. George has got ADHD. He'd watched one of his friends go through cancer. His grandparents, their grandparents had both died of cancer. So all of a sudden, Mum's now been diagnosed. Shit, is she going to die? And being able to show them that, no, you can still show up.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're getting through it. You know, there are days
there's a few changes, but
there's a few changes, but we adapt. You improvise, adapt, and overcome. I mean, it's very much a military term. Hubby has that sort of military environment, but life still has to carry on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sit at home doom scrolling,
wallowing
about whether or not cancer is going to kill me. So I need something to be able to take my mind off it, and work gave me that ability to do it. So I'd had the initial 7 rounds of chemo, then had surgery. I was back in work 2 days later. Whaley had joked about the fact that I'd be back in work the day after, but I really enjoyed the sleep of the anaesthetic, so I ended up having to stay in.
The drugs do work.
They really do.
I
said to the anaesthetist as he was putting me under, I was like, now I've been told that I'm going to have the best sleep that I've had in years. He was like, yes, you will.
Yes, you will.
And I was supposed to be out of the anaesthetic and home by 6 o'clock. I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock on the night. They had no choice but to keep me in. So I ended up staying in hospital. So I was back at work again a couple of days later. Luckily, it was a lumpectomy. I didn't have to have the mastectomy. But then because I didn't have a total pathological response when they came to do the surgery, as in the tumour hadn't completely gone,
right.
They then had to change the targeted therapy back to a chemo. So I then had to have another 14 rounds of chemo on top. Plus I'd had 20 rounds of radiotherapy as well. And you get that in itself causes lasting damage, causes massive changes. So I've now ended up with lymphedema in the breast that I'd had radiotherapy, which is like a build-up of fluid. Right. People commonly get it in their legs, or you can see it in their arms, but you can also get it in your boob, because I'd had lymph nodes taken away.
Hubby's happy.
I mean, the one side is like a 20-year-old. It's standing to attention. It's facing the right direction, and it doesn't move anywhere. The other side, on the other hand, is a 43-year-old woman who's breastfed. Is
their sad spinster sister?
Yeah, breastfed 2 children, and it's sort of feeling very sorry for it. It's a bit deflated. Let's put it that way. So you do get left with those changes, and I have to joke about it, but it is actually quite upsetting. It's quite upsetting at the time, but hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted out. But I finished treatment 7 weeks ago, had my last chemo, finally managed to ring the bell 18 months down the line, that must have felt and good. Life is now starting. Yeah, and I'd like to say that it's not resuming to normality, because the normality in the runoff,
it's a new normal now.
It is a new normal. We're dealing with, and I think I've got a new perspective on life as well. I've never taken life particularly for granted before, but when you do stare your own mortality in the face, it kind of gives you a bit more perspective. I'm probably a little bit more less forgiving of people's crap, less tolerant of that.
Yeah.
And also very much more self-aware of what I can cope with, what I can't cope with, what I will cope with.
Where your limits are.
And where my limits are, and not trying to do everything for everybody and be everything for everybody, because that in itself creates a bit of a whirlwind as well.
Well, you can't. We talked when we were chatting earlier, you know, you were saying there was a lot of stress in your life.
Yeah.
Before this all happened, and that's a very fucking common story, right? Stress is well known, well documented to do all sorts of horrible things.
Yeah, absolutely.
To you physically, it materializes.
I think there ends up being your body. There's a book that I've read called "The Body Keeps the Score," and your body does keep the score.
Title, yeah. Title says it all there.
It does keep the score. I mean, it was more around, it was a military book, and it's about PTSD and the fact that your body will hold on to trauma that has happened in your life and all of those sorts of things. Cancer is obviously quite a traumatic experience for anybody to go, only slightly, but you know, it's quite a traumatic experience. But at the same time, if you have got things in your life that are building and there's not resolution, or you're taking on more and more responsibility without letting go of other responsibilities, or you're not asking for help, and the help is there, but you're not necessarily asking for the help because, you know, I'm a strong, independent woman and I'm fierce and I can do everything myself. I've got this, and you're not going to do it the way that I want it to be done. That was probably one of the biggest things for me. It doesn't get done the way that I want it to be done, so I'm better off just doing it myself.
If I do it, it gets done proper.
Yeah. And that could be from vacuuming.
Yeah.
You know, we're not talking about big
work projects. We're not talking high level shit. We're not talking about a United Nations peace agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do the washing because you're going to end up putting a sock in there and it's going to turn everything grey.
Yeah, or you're going to put it in the wrong drawer when you put it away.
Yes,
or you won't
not put it away. Or not put it away. But going through something like that, everything has to adjust. And I sort of said, you know, before being diagnosed, there was probably a little bit of claustrophobia, for want of a better word.
But you kind of built for yourself, right? You built it for yourself.
Yeah, and I can't put the blame on
this array
other
of
people. It was probably
home,
more me.
Work, family.
Yeah, absolutely. Working full time, mum of 2 kids, 2.5 kids.
Well, we talked about, you know, you and your other half. Yeah. You know, his role in the house was...
take the bins out, and I did everything else.
I mean...
And that wasn't because he hadn't offered. It was,
as we've already alluded
I'm
to,
taking care of it.
I know how to do it, and I know it gets done properly when I do it.
Yeah, and
so
that's not, and it's not because I knew he wouldn't do it properly. I probably didn't even give him the opportunity. So
no.
And I think
but also, if you did it, you knew it was done. It wasn't something your brain on that endless list that women keep in their head of things that need to be done.
Yeah.
Each and every day, and for you it was easier to tick it off the list yourself, or you thought it was easier to tick it off the list yourself than it was to trust your partner to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think coming out the back of that, there was loads of good that happened as a result of cancer, and to a certain extent, I'm quite thankful. Obviously, I'm thankful to be alive. I'm not thankful
having shit happen in your life. It's not uncommon that people turn around and go, you know what, there was.
Yeah,
it's smash on set apart. You know, obviously there was traumatic shit that happened in it, but you know, the story is often actually
a lot of good.
It was a wake up call.
Yeah, a lot of good has come out of it. So I
have
have to be thankful, and almost give it the nod and say thank you for that, because you've put a new perspective on life. You've given me a new motivation.
It's the yin and the yang of life, right?
Yeah, you've allowed me to, and I am dog determined to ensure that. Moving forward, stress levels we all have stress in our life. We all have shit that happens to us, but we also get to choose how we react to that.
So we talked earlier about a thing that I find works really well, because I think we'll round this up in a minute, and I just want to kind of focus on relationships really. So I think it's quite a nice place to end. So something I learned, and I can't even remember who it was. It was some celebrity on a chat show, and they'd been in a relationship for forever. And the presenter was like, oh, you know, what's your secret? And she was like, oh, we have the 100 rule. And very simply what that is every morning when that couple got up, they check in with each other. Where do they feel on a scale of 1 to 100? So on some days, you're both 90, you're both 95, 98, 99, 100, fine, flying, you've both got it, go out, smash your day. But on the days you wake up when you or your partner's like, I'm a 22 today, and you're like, I'm an 85, so it's good. You just get through today, I've got it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll do the school pickup, I've got dinner tonight, you know, whatever it is that's going on in your life, all good. And vice versa, you know. Yeah. When it flips the other way, cool, just go and get through your day at work. And
yeah.
And it's really healthy, that dialogue. And I think, yeah, a lot of going through bad times with partners, and when you make it out the other side, you know, you re-establish things. Yeah, you kind of rediscover each other again.
And
right?
you need to be able to have that open line of communication, you know, without it ever feeling as though you're being combative, or you're criticising or anything. Like, you know, there were days, obviously during treatment, where fatigue was at a all-time high. It hurt to even move my leg, never mind move from the sofa. Yeah. To get into bed or whatever. But Matt became really intuitive and was able to recognise the days where
you were at.
I haven't got anything today, and without making me feel guilty, without making me feel less of a person, less of a mum, he would just take care of it. He just had it, and I knew. And even now, coming out of treatment, I still have hormone treatment. I'm still on hormone treatment. That essentially removes the estrogen from my body. It means that your joints, and you get quite a lot. If I'm sat for long periods of time, it takes me 5 minutes to go. I'm like a 90-year-old woman. Once I'm walking, I'm absolutely fine. Once I'm playing netball, I'm fine. But I stop for 5 minutes, and then everything just jams up, and it takes a little while to get going again. But he recognises when that happens now, and even moving further forward, there are days where I'm still having fatigue, or I still have the side effects, and he'll just take care of it. And we are a team now, and it isn't a one-sided game at all. And I say one-sided, that was not through his choice.
No,
that was
like you said, it was a structure that you created of your own making.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so. And the last thing I just want to touch on is, you know, you guys have done what we've discussed, really, all couples, and particularly maybe parents or people juggling other stuff should do. You guys were given the opportunity to escape.
Yes, we were. Couple. So as coming to the end of treatment, I'd said that I wanted to be able to go away, just me and the hubby, and then we would take the kids away afterwards. And I think there were a couple of reasons for that. It would give me and him time to process the last 18 months without worrying about whether or not the kids are there and having to protect them.
What do they hear? What do they see? What do they see?
All of those sorts of things. And just give us a chance to be able to breathe.
Because kids are sensitive, right? It doesn't even they don't even have to have words. They can read your face.
They know everything. Kids are far more intuitive than what we give them. You know, they're a lot more resilient than we give them credit for, but they are very, very intuitive.
And they cling on to stuff as well.
They will pick up everything.
They can hear a sentence as a kid and still be having that bounce around their head at 30, 40 years old as an adult.
They pick up on your stresses and stuff as well. There's another book by Claire Wilson called Grounded, and it talks about the neuro sort of transmitters that you emanate. If you're stressed, your kids pick up on that, and then suddenly they don't feel safe. Yeah. So if you're stressed and all of a sudden the kids are being dicks,
there's a reason why.
Technical term, it's because they don't feel safe. I mean, we could refer to the other technical term from earlier, but we might leave that one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Leave that for another day. But it's because they don't feel safe. Yeah. Because you're not safe, you're not grounded. So you have to be grounded as a parent to be able to be the best parent that you
Which is which at times is fucking
Which
hard.
is really difficult. It is really difficult. And
Which at times is really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, talking about us, like, obviously, you know, we've not had the COVID, we've not had the cancer thing, but obviously, you know, COVID was a
Yeah,
weird
absolutely.
time for families as well.
Yeah,
And
and it put an incredible amount of stress on everybody. So
and weird dynamics, right? Couples spending time with each
way
other.
too much time with each other.
You know,
Luckily, my hubby
COVID
was,
ruined a lot of
my
relationships.
hubby was a key worker, so I still had him going out to work. I still worked all through COVID anyway, but obviously I was home based with 2 kids, which was quite interesting. But yeah, we got the opportunity. My brother said that he'd take some time off work, and me and the hubby could jet off to Mallorca for a week. It took me a couple of days to adjust. It took us both a couple of days to adjust, because you go from having 2 wild kids at home, and I have got wild
and everything
children,
else,
and
and
everything
work, and
else,
everything of the last 18 months.
Yeah, to
and
properly switch off and rediscover we do actually like each other. We quite enjoy each other's company and not have that
But
stress.
then also rediscovering yourselves as well, right? It's not just
Absolutely.
about each other. It's
Yeah, and
about
we became
remembering
a younger
who
version
these people,
yeah,
who
who we
these
were when
people
we
were
originally
before
fell in
you.
love. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Wonderful kids.
Yeah, they are wonderful. They're
are
a bag
wonderful.
of madness, but they are wonderful. And I was really glad to get home to them.
Yeah.
And we've got another holiday coming up where we're taking the kids away, and I'll probably need another holiday after that holiday to recover from the holiday. But yeah, it was.
What we're basically saying is, Whaley, there's a lot of holiday bookings coming on,
Yeah,
so
there's
you've
so
got
many.
admin on your desk, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. He signed them off. It's fine. But no, I do genuinely think that there should be an unwritten rule in the rule book of parenting. There is no rule book of parenting, but every parent should at least be able to have a week off
Yeah,
from
I
their
think
children.
it's
Because
always
I've come back as a
it's the
parent.
supporting network, isn't it?
Absolutely, but I've come back feeling like I am a better parent as a result of it.
I've
because I've
watched
appreciated
with
my
Envy.
kids.
Yeah, I've watched with Envy as Harry Truman and her other half.
Yeah.
I think they do it once a year. If they do it more than once a year, I'm filing a
Power
lawsuit
to their
against
elbow,
them.
yeah.
I'm filing a fucking lawsuit against them. But I have watched from afar the last couple of years and been like, yeah, do you know what? That's really healthy.
Yeah.
That's really, really healthy.
I do think, and my best friend, she's actually managed to bag 2 weeks away this year.
Insanity.
And they're going on a Caribbean cruise for 2 weeks, which I'm immense. Wow. I mean, I had Mallorca. They're off to Jamaica for a couple of weeks.
Give me Mallorca over a Caribbean cruise any day of the week.
Yeah.
You win in my book.
Yeah. But I do think that it allows you to cut everything out.
Look, being parents is
reset.
awesome, but it is, it is all consuming. And I don't think that's ever fundamentally changed. But I think in today's society where, as mum and dad, we are all now expected to be everything at all times.
Yeah.
And a career person, a partner, a parent, a counsellor, everything else that we have to be. And I think with the freedom that we've now got to do that, but also the pressures to also do that, it is all encompassing. And you do, as wonderful as parenting is 90+% of the time, you do lose yourselves. And I think that's why a lot of couples with a lot of families break up, because
I also think
you lose yourself in there. You can let yourself lose
and
yourself.
I think if you look at the, in my late teens, early 20s, it was centre of your own universe. Everything revolves around you.
Yeah.
You're out partying. You're doing all of that. You're doing everything that you should be doing as a young person. You then sort of get into a long-term relationship.
Start thinking about a career.
Late 20s, you're just sort of figuring out where you are in your career. You then meet a life partner, or you meet a partner. You then start thinking about, right, we're going to have children, because that's the sort of natural progression of where it's all going to go. And then the kids come along. Me and Matt have never ever had an argument until we had kids. We only argue because of the kids. And it's not blaming.
It's not an
kids,
argument.
It's not an argument,
Yeah.
but there are disagreements around the kids or whatever. but everything is sort of culminating.
Who's the yes parent and who's the no parent?
Yeah, but everything culminates. You're trying to do a good job in your career. You're trying to be the best parent that you can be. And, you know, it's what you wanted. So you have to invest everything into being the best parent that you can be. And then you start losing yourself.
Yeah.
And the stress levels of who am I? What direction am I going in? Where's life going?
Well, sometimes it just creeps,
Is
right?
this
You
what
just
I'm
kind of
settling with?
disappear. You
Yeah,
just kind of disappear, don't you?
Absolutely. And I think...
And
I
as
agree
a
with-
result of that, your partner disappears.
Yeah.
In
And you probably
the way you
indirectly
were.
push each other away as
Yeah.
well, because you both at that.
You've got enough shit on your plate.
They say there's a midlife crisis, isn't it? And that probably is why relationships break down, because you're then looking at, okay, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Is this where I'm going to be for the rest of my life?
You keep cutting off little bits of yourself to, you know.
Yeah. So the cure for that, doctor's diagnosis or doctor's orders.
It's bugger off somewhere beautiful.
Bugger off on
for a
holiday
week
for a
together.
week and have that time away, because it will serve you really well.
Well, look, I've loved our chat. We could sit here
been
and
fab.
talk all day, as we did already this morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Whaley,
Bob.
you can sign me off again for another pod.
yeah, we'll get part 2 booked in. Maybe later in the day, so you don't have a 5 o'clock start. What we'll do with the next one, we won't do breakfast before. We'll do this, and then we'll do the drinky poos afterwards.
Sounds even better.
Maybe get Skipper down to join us.
Absolutely.
It's been an absolute pleasure and a joy.
been
Thanks
fab.
for spending the time with us today. Guys, thanks for listening. Hopefully enjoyed that as much as I did. See you next time. Bye.